guys, Nanomachines, and we're taking a look at another Transformers trading card game deck archetype, and that would be, this time, Planes. And of course, you could just call it Starscream because, heck, that's why people play this list anyway. Starscream is a lot about indirect damage. You play cards like Photon Bomb to do indirect damage, your planes themselves do indirect damage, say Skywarp, and you really like doing things outside of the combat phase. As such, you don't really have too much in the ways of defense, so it's kind of a glass cannon kind of deck. Now, as for the characters, Starscream is going to be your center of attention mostly. He's going to be your main strategy, and he's going to be your main attacker. Starscream has the really good ability to deal indirect damage when you transform from his robot mode to his vehicle mode, his plane mode. He deals 1 damage counter to one of your opponent's characters for each other plane you have in play. This doesn't include himself, so at maximum you're going to be doing 2 damage, but still, 2 damage is kind of a lot for free. Let's be honest here. He is a little bit over the average in terms of point value, but this ability and him being a plane really do bring back that value to him. His robot mode isn't exactly something to be excited about. I mean, like, he just gets a straight buff to both of his stats, but like his ability is just a little lackluster. He just gets bold 2, and that's fine, but who really cares? It's just bold 2, right? So Starscream is going to be the center of attention because he's the biggest, not because he's necessarily the best. Now, for this list, the best character, I think, is Thundercracker. Thundercracker, in other words, the blue one, is my favorite character out of this whole list. Thundercracker has a great ability to do 2 damage to one of your opponent's melee characters when you transform to his plane mode. Now, it's only melee characters, but there's plenty of melee to go around, so you're going to be getting a lot of value from him. But that's not the best part about him. The best part about him is his robot mode. Now, Thundercracker does +1 damage for every action that you play in the turn. Now, of course, you can chain brainstorms to do a lot more damage, but generally speaking, it just turns your leap into battle into a +4 instead of just a +3. Or say you drew a card using Inspiring Leadership, you're still going to be sitting at +1. That gives him essentially, at all times, essentially a base 6 attack, which is quite a bit, to be perfectly honest with you. In the ways of defense, well, he doesn't really have any. Like I said, it's a glass cannon of a list, but Thundercracker has a lot of value coming out of his robot mode and his vehicle mode. He's honestly the best card on the list. And now for the final little plane we have here, and that is Skywarp. Skywarp is your support, really and truly. He has a very lackluster set of abilities, but he is a 3rd plane for the list, and that is unbelievably important for both Starscream, for the action cards you play. It is a very important thing. Now, Skywarp, though, despite being somewhat on the lackluster side in terms of abilities, he does have actually some more solid stats between himself and all of his other friends. Be having 4 attack and 2 defense in both modes. If you transform him, it's not going to matter. He's always going to be doing and dealing and taking the same amount of damage. But his vehicle mode is probably very disappointing in terms of character cards. Pretty much what he does when you transform to his vehicle mode is you get to look at the top card of both players' decks, and then you get to put them back. You just get to know what they are. Sure, this allows you to figure out, oh, I can see that they have a double blue on the top of their deck, or I see that they have just an orange card. Or maybe you can see in the top of your deck that you have an orange card that you want to swing harder. Sure, information is good to have, but I would have much preferred being able to discard them if I didn't like them, instead of just knowing what they are. Because knowing what they are is not going to matter because you can't exactly draw them the next turn. You're always going to be dealing those top cards in their deck. Skywarp's Robot Mode, however, is the best card about him. Like, it is the best part. What it says is when you take damage and you flip at least one white pip from your defending, you get to redirect the damage. So if you get hit for 8 damage, you defend it by 3. That's 5 damage, and Skywarp only has 8 HP. You're not going to want him to take that 5 damage. Starscream, however, has 13 HP. He can take a hit. So, you can redirect that damage from Skywarp to Starscream and still have Skywarp in perfect condition. Skywarp's redirect ability is one of my favorite abilities coming out of this card game. I just really like being able to control where my opponent actually gets to attack me, if he gets to attack me at all. The strategy for this list, essentially, in terms of cards, is taking a lot of damage, but not dying. You really want to abuse Bombing Run. Bombing Run is a fantastic attacking card that moves 1 damage counter from each of your planes to your opponent's characters. Well, to one of their characters. So you get to heal yourself for 1 on each of your guys, and then deal potentially 3 damage to one of your opponent's characters. And that's before you even attack or transform. It's a very good card that has a lot of versatility coming out of it, because it does a lot of different jobs. It heals you and it deals damage to your opponent. It's a very, very good ability. Now, how you might get that damage on your characters is a card called Photon Bomb. Photon Bomb is a very interesting card in that it does not have any pips. So if you flip a Photon Bomb, you're not defending anything and you're not attacking anything. It's just a dead card. But it's a very powerful card that will be able to deal a lot of spread damage to your opponent and you. What it does is it deals 2 damage to every single character, including your own. That damages your own guys, yes, but you want them damaged because you want to use Bombing Run. It also softens up your opponents by spreading 2 damage to each of them. So cards like Dark Mount, where he has a massive amount of defense, really hate this card because he's going to be taking a lot of indirect damage, completely negating his defense. Another card that's fantastic for this list is Rollout. What this card does is it transforms every single character you have from robot mode to alternate mode. And that means you get to use all of these effects at once. Starscream gets to do his 2 damage to somebody, Thundercracker gets to do his 2 damage to somebody, and you're almost always going to want to double down on that damage, because putting 4 damage counters on something for free is crazy. And to make matters even better, Rollout has both an orange pip and a blue pip on it, meaning that it is never a bad card to flip from an attack or a defense. It's never a bad card to put in the list, frankly. It's a very good card that I think that a lot of lists that don't have their own version of it, at least, should be playing. Another really good card that compounds on Photon Bomb is a card called Armed Hovercraft. Even though this character like Lockdown on this card kind of looks like he's Green Goblin, it's still a very good card. What it does is when you attach it to a ranged character, you get to spread 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's characters, which is crazy. It's also a weapon, which gives you +1 attack. It's just a fantastic card for playing because you're already spreading plenty of damage in your own right. Armed Hovercraft spreads even more. This makes planes a very good counter to tanks because you're just dealing indirect damage. You're completely negating their high defense stats. Another great card for this list is Energon Axe. I realize that you have to be damaged in order to use it, but it's still a fantastic card that gives you a really good damage buff in both giving you Pierce 2 and +3 attack. And you're already going to be damaging yourself a lot with Photon Bomb. And you're honestly going to be damaged anyway because your opponent's going to be attacking you. Energon Axe is a very good card that a lot of lists are going to be playing. Now, possible inclusions that you might want is a card that I don't really personally like, but you can find some use for it. It's Null Ray. Null Ray of Starscream is what it's called. It's Starscream's signature weapon. But it's not that good. It's only +1 attack, and it gives him Bold 2 if it's on Starscream. Now that compounds with the Starscream's Bold 2 already to give him Bold 4, and that sounds really good, but then you realize, why aren't I just attaching an Energon Axe, or a grenade launcher, or any other much better weapon than just that? It's just an overglorified flamethrower, let's be honest here. Null Ray isn't that good. You can play it, but it's not that good. Another thing that I might put into this is Slipstream. I might trade out Thundercracker for Slipstream. If you don't know what Slipstream does, Slipstream has the same point cost as Thundercracker and is a plane. And what she does is, if she's in her plane mode and anyone else attacks in their plane mode, they get to heal 1 damage from themselves and move that damage to one of your opponent's enemies. Now, that's a good card, but I really think I like Thundercracker better, because something I've noticed about this is a lack of standalone damage coming from each of these characters, and Thundercracker really makes up for that. He also has a fantastic ability to do 2 damage for free. And whereas Slipstream defends a little better, she's just a more situational card that I have really struggled to find a good use for. My playtesting with her has generally resulted in disaster. Now, on to the matchups. I would personally say that Plains has the best chance to beat tanks out of all of these lists that I have here, because of its indirect damage. It's constantly going around their defense, and they just can't play around it. It is by far their #1 enemy. And I also find it hilarious that a deck that plays Megatron is arch nemesis with the deck that plays Starscream. And I think that's just unbelievably fitting. Another thing that's very good for it is very wide decks, like Insecticons, motorcycles. They play 4 characters, and they're going to be taking a lot of damage from your Photon Bombs and from your Hovercraft. Now, when you're playing wide like that, you don't have a lot of HP. That means you don't have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to things like spread damage. You can't heal everything. So if you have a lot of those in your area, play Plains, because Plains will be able to just kill them. They just can't beat it. Really bad matchup that I can definitely see having is Dinobots. Dinobots can just out-damage you. Like, they just trounce your defense. You have 1 defense usually on your characters, and that is a very bad sign when your opponent gives themselves Bold 14. When they mill 14 extra cards off the top of their deck, you just are not going to live. There's no way that you're going to survive that. So if you face a Dinobot, be prepared to lose. And there's not really anything you can use to rectify that matchup. It's just one of those things that you just kind of sit down and go, oh, well, I'm just getting outplayed here. Of course, this is just my preliminary playtesting, and there just could be a much better way to play Plains. But I would personally play it in this very non-direct playstyle. And I hope you've enjoyed my deck profile. Please hit that subscribe button if you've enjoyed watching my video, and please hit that bell icon if you've really liked my video, because that way you'll be notified when one of my new videos go live. And if you'd like, please check out my other videos on my channel, because I do video games, I do other card games, stuff like this. And as always, I hope you guys have a good one. Goodbye. That actually got me there. What? Oh, that was left. Oh, I totally ate it. Oh, I hit that one too! Oh god! Oh my god, I'm so bad! Oh! Oh, this is gonna be a beautiful, beautiful Let's Play.